Hello, class, professor, and opponents. Our debate is focused on resolved the federal government should abolish the Electoral College. I, affirmative team, you understand this to be the discarding of the Electoral College. This means getting rid of the second part component to deciding who is the next president of the United States during the final days of election. This will leave only the majority vote of American public responsible for the choice of who should be sworn into the office. This should be so because we the people, the Americans, are the ones affected by the decision of the government. So the public should vote who decides to be elected without interference of the Electoral College. As first speaker, I will discuss the reasoning behind the Electoral College created by the Founding Fathers is irrelevant. Too much power is given to swing states, along with their decision to determine the presidential election. Most importantly, Electoral College ignores the will of the people, we the people, Americans. So, as I argue, I'm going to discuss how the Electoral College started and why the reasons are irrelevant for today. Technology in today's world allows us to spread information faster and easier and more efficient than back then. It was harder to get what people needed and what people wanted better in their society back then when the Electoral College was created. Nowadays, there's polls, there's even the census that allows us to get to the government our communication. Also, when Hamilton in 1788 created the Electoral College, he figured that it would be people who are free from sinister bias, meaning they aren't interfered with, payouts or, information that can sway their vote. But as you can see, that has changed since then. Just as several laws that limited direct democracy in the Constitution have been modified or discarded throughout history, so should the Electoral College. My second point is too much power is given to swing states. This allows their votes to determine the path of the election. This is because presidential candidates can depend on certain majority states for their Electoral College. States that have big power to go either way are definite wins for candidates. So when they go and campaign, they're able to see how their election is going to go because they choose the big swing states and they'll see who's voting for those people. Once they know, it's easier to cater to those bigger states because you'll have the vote. When the Electoral College is added in, there's so much more that is catered to the people who are making these decisions rather than the people who are voting for these decisions that will be affecting them, if that makes sense. A large percentage of the vote is from the swing states. So a lot of those smaller states that do not have a bigger Electoral College, they don't get to put in their 2 cents as much as the other states. They're not focused on as much. And then with the college's vote, the actual people's vote doesn't matter. The college is a small percentage representing the main state, but the main state or the public of the state may not be connecting with the college. So the votes they're trying to get across will completely be misinterpreted and not advocated for if they are swing states. As for the college, presidential candidates only need to pay attention to a limited number of states that can swing one way or the other. Thirdly, thanks to the researchers for ProCon, there are over 300 million people in the United States, but just 538 people decide who will be president, simply because the Electoral College ignores the will of the people. As we can see in the 2016 Hillary versus Trump election, the majority vote was for Hillary, but the Electoral College was for Trump. So being that the Electoral College created the decision to vote Trump into office, we can see who's our president now. Then we also have Bush versus Al Gore. Al Gore was the popular vote, but Electoral College voted in for Bush. We can also see how that goes. Al Gore was a very economical person who focused on bettering world problems like global warming, and there's so many more issues he had talked in the past that are occurring now. Trump mentioned himself. I would rather see it where you went with simple votes. You get 100 million votes and somebody else gets 90 million votes and you win. Now Donald Trump serves as president of the United States, even though he did not win the popular vote of we, the people. Ending. So, professor and students, we witnessed first in how much we witnessed first in how much the Electoral College has not benefited the will of the people. We see how candidates now only focus their campaigns on the electoral votes that have power. So it is safe to quote Donald Trump, President of the United States, and say that Electoral College is really the word. I think the greatest terms I've come up with is fake. Thank you.